Hello and welcome to Three Questions with. Got my buddy Scott with us from Engage PEO. Good afternoon, Scott, and welcome to the show, my friend.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So, Scott, asked you to come on the show today. I think we need to start at the beginning of what is a PEO. We throw that term around, and I don't think everyone knows. I didn't know it till not that long ago, to be honest.
Sure. PEO stands for Professional Employer Organization. It's a way that companies can put certain items under one umbrella, following the rules of the IRS and whatever state or states they're in. The term I typically use is co-employment, where the company runs the day-to-day, the hiring and firing. They know how to run their business. And under a PEO or co-employment, Engage runs the back office. Payroll processing could be workers' comp, benefits, obviously this HR and compliance. So it's a way to put everything under one umbrella in one-stop shopping.
That makes sense to me. One of the things that someone was telling me about the other day is some companies have decided to hire people in different states now because we're working from home. So this is great. Scott's a really talented guy out in California. I bring him on, but I have to understand the laws of that state now too. It's not like, hey, I'm located in Massachusetts, so that's all I have to pay attention to. That could be an issue, right?
I think without question, certainly since COVID, the concept of telecommuting, working remote, it has really put the emphasis on the employer. Yes, we want to be as productive as possible, but in our litigious society, you've got to be very careful at the federal and state level that you're following all the rules and regs on that federal and state has to make you abide by. A PEO can be a perfect example on how that benefits a company, because the company doesn't have to say to themselves, oh, what do we have to do? And for our clients, they're calling us up and saying, look, we're thinking about hiring somebody as a Massachusetts company in Texas. What do we have to do? How does that get incorporated into our handbook? How do we get registered? Things of that nature. And partnering with a PEO, while the company will always have some responsibility and some work to do, the reality is a company like Engage in what we do, we make it very easy to hire the talent that you're looking to hire in the state that you want to.
What I've always seen in companies I've worked with, Scott, is HR was an afterthought. Often the president's admin or some admin person, hey, Scott, you're going to be the HR director too, buddy, because you have time to do it. And you get into trouble because often something will happen that we haven't seen before. You're like, geez. And what I've seen in my life, Scott, I'm sure you've seen it. I love Scott. He's my guy. Scott does it. Hey, Scott, don't do that again. Okay, buddy? We good, buddy? Hey, Kev, you fired for doing the exact same thing. That's not a good approach, right?
Well, I think anytime you don't have a problem, the way you handle it's fine. I would use a couple of concepts, which is what's the cost to do something the right way versus what's the cost to do it the wrong way and get caught. So I always tell people, look, you own your own business. A lot of family-owned companies treat their all employees like family, but it just takes one employee to not abide by that concept. And I will use my states of Massachusetts, right, where I live and kind of headquartered, but I have clients all over the country. And if I talk to my clients in New York, if I talk to my clients in California, it's very, very difficult to have employees in those states because the rules make it difficult. So I would give a company feedback. We can go through some due diligence. The concept that using a PEO and doing it the right way is cost prohibitive is absolutely false. Half of the clients I bring on during a year, if we look at what they're spending today, all in, and what they're going to spend using the Engage PEO platform, most cases they're saving money net, or that incremental cost is a fraction of what it would cost for them to hire someone to do all of this.
It makes sense. You brought up family businesses. What I've seen, Scott, is it's a family business. So you and I can disagree maybe exchange unpleasantries with each other because you're my uncle. So at the end of the day, we still love each other. But I find that when we get past family and friends, and that type of attitude and behavior is not acceptable, then we start to get in trouble. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, me and my uncle Scott, we really swing at each other some days, but he knows I love him. I know he loves me, and I take him to lunch after I swung at him. That doesn't work once you get out. And it's not supposed to work permanently. Let's just be honest about it. But there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that as you grow and get in non-family members and friends, that may not go as well as you want, right?
I think without question, look, if you've ever had a chance to work with family, and I've had the chance, some days are absolutely fantastic and you can get a ton done.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people that are family-owned businesses that would absolutely tell you that working with family is a nightmare. So while there's always stories on both ends,
Yeah.
I always like my position because in what we do it should not change the culture of your company. In fact, what does it do? Most times I'm dealing with small to medium sized businesses, and truth is they're trying to offer more. They're trying to do more for their people, but what a 20 employee group can offer, they're limited in cost, in product, where when companies tap into our especially benefit platform, they are becoming an employer of choice because they're offering benefit programs that a Staples, an EMC, a Bose gets to offer like a Fortune 500 company. So we don't need to take away culture to add to that offering or array of offering. So again, it's not a one size fits all, but the reality is that most times what we do is a classic fit to either I call it a family owned business or even a larger company that doesn't really operate like that.
Makes sense. So, Scott, what's the best way for people to reach out if they'd like to learn more, my friend?
Yeah, look, I am kind of old school. I do, even since COVID, I do in-person meetings. Today, everybody loves Zoom and Teams, which is fine. I would say an email that says, do you have time for a quick, in 15 or 20 minutes, I can let somebody know if they're probably a good fit. And I do tell people this. These items to me, I'm not selling a pen. I'm not a commodity. It's not a one-time event. These are relationships to me. I'm really kind of selling a relationship. So the reality is I probably walk away because I'll give an example. If somebody's not really offering benefits today and they don't really care about HR and they don't want to be an employer of choice, I'm probably not a good fit for them. So sometimes I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to waste mine. Best way to do it is to send me an email or pick up the phone and call me. Love having conversations. I probably have 10 to 15 conversations with new prospects each week. Would love to add people to that mix.
Awesome. And so what's the best number?
508-561-0702. That's my cell.
Yep.
Absolutely the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Scott, I appreciate you taking a few minutes calling the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thanks for having me.